In many rural regions across Asia, especially in places where life still follows a slower rhythm, people often say that some trees do not live by roots and soil alone. They exist as markers of time, witnessing generations of human lives passing by, and are regarded as presences that deserve respect. Among these stories, the legend of the ancient tree with a spirit is one of the most widely told, even though no one can clearly identify when it first began. The ancient tree described in this legend is not hidden deep within an untouched forest. Instead, it usually stands within or near a village. It may be a banyan tree, a fig tree, a camphor tree, or another large native species, with a trunk so wide that several people would struggle to encircle it. Elders often say that the tree was already there long before the village itself was formed. According to oral accounts passed down through generations, when the first settlers arrived to cultivate the land, the ancient tree was already standing in its place. They did not cut it down, not because they lacked the ability to do so, but because they sensed that this was not an ordinary tree. No one can clearly explain where that feeling came from. They only recall that when standing beneath its canopy, people instinctively lower their voices, as if the space itself demanded restraint. The tree often stands in a significant location. It may be at the entrance of the village, beside a stream, along an old footpath, or on a plot of land that no one uses for farming. Over time, villagers grew accustomed to its presence. Children were warned not to climb it, not to break its branches, and not to carve their names into its bark. Adults passing by would sometimes incline their heads slightly, not as part of a formal ritual, but as a habit shaped quietly over many years. In the legend, the tree is described as having a spirit, yet this word is never defined in concrete terms. No one claims to have seen anything. No one insists on a specific presence. There is simply a shared understanding that the tree should not be treated as an inanimate object. One commonly told story involves an outsider, someone who came from beyond the village and was unfamiliar with the unspoken rules surrounding the ancient tree. While expanding farmland or repairing a road, this person suggested cutting the tree down, arguing that it occupied space and served no practical purpose. The villagers tried to dissuade him, but they could not offer a clear explanation. They only said that the tree had been there for a very long time and should not be disturbed. To the outsider, these warnings sounded emotional and ungrounded. Eventually, the decision was made to cut the tree. According to the legend, the attempt did not go smoothly. Tools malfunctioned repeatedly. Work was interrupted by reasons that were never fully explained. No serious accidents were recorded, but progress was constantly delayed. Those involved often felt unusually fatigued, even though the physical labor was no more demanding than usual. In the end, the tree was never completely cut down. The work was abandoned, and the ancient tree remained standing, bearing visible marks from the blades that had struck its trunk. After this incident, the outsider left the village, and the land was allowed to return to its original state. From that point on, the tree was treated with even greater caution. Villagers began placing small items at its base, bowls of water, sticks of incense, or a few old coins. No one was required to do this, and there was no formal ritual. These actions occurred naturally, as simple gestures of respect towards something that had existed longer than any living person. In other versions of the legend, the ancient tree is associated with periods of change in the village. People say that before years of poor harvests, drought, or illness, the tree would show subtle differences. Leaves would fall earlier than usual, cracks would appear in the trunk, or the canopy would grow thinner. No one claimed these were direct signs, but in hindsight, villagers noticed the coincidences. Conversely, there were also years of abundance and favorable weather when the tree appeared exceptionally healthy. Its canopy grew dense, its roots rose above the ground without causing disruption, and during those years, villagers often spoke of the tree as a symbol of stability. According to scholars of folk culture, legends of ancient trees with spirits appear across many Asian societies, each with its own variations. What these stories share is not a focus on strange phenomena, but the way humans assign meaning to long-standing elements of their environment. In this context, the ancient tree represents collective memory. It bears witness to the transformation of villages, the passing of older generations, and the arrival of new ones. When people face changes they cannot fully explain, they often turn to enduring symbols and assign them special significance. The legend also reflects the relationship between humans and nature in agricultural societies. Respect for the ancient tree does not arise from fear, but from an understanding that certain aspects of the natural world should not be interfered with carelessly. The tree is seen as part of a shared space, not something owned by any individual. Even today, in many rural areas, ancient trees remain standing while their surroundings continue to change. Roads are widened, houses grow taller, yet people still avoid disturbing the tree, not because they expect immediate consequences, but because no one wants to be the one who disrupts a balance that has existed for generations. There are no official documents proving that the ancient tree truly possesses a spirit. There is no concrete evidence and no scientific record to confirm such a claim. The legend survives primarily in oral tradition, passed from one person to another through storytelling. Yet it is precisely this lack of proof that allows the story to endure. The legend of the ancient tree with a spirit is not about something that can be seen, but about how people choose to treat what they do not fully understand. And in many villages, when the sun sets and the wind moves through the old leaves, people still slow their steps as they pass beneath the ancient tree, not out of fear, but out of a sense that some things have existed long enough to deserve respect.